Okay, everyone, good afternoon and welcome to episode 70 of the End Product Podcast with myself, Stish, and as always, my sparring partner in crime, Quinny. How you doing,
Hey,
sir?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And you know what? We were just saying off air, we've got quite a lot to talk about, considering it is international break, especially not just any international break. This is a particularly quiet midweek, isn't it? Looking at the sort of fixture list. But in the world of uh, So Rare never sleeps, and we've had a lot
No.
of updates on the website. We've got new cards, and it looks like we've got new game modes just around the corner. So yeah, loads to talk about. How was your weekend in the subject and the world of M product, though, Quinny?
Yeah, my weekend was very good, buddy. And I just about, it could have been a little bit better end product wise. I came out with just about, I think I finished 24th in All Star and managed to pull a tier 3 reward. And that was with Kyogo not scoring a goal and my goalkeeper not delivering. So it was like, had some big, it's kind of the story of the game week. I had like really good scores and then a few just, not even bad ones, but just guys didn't deliver. They didn't get the end product as it was, no decisives for some of them. So a couple of bits and bobs, thresholds and whatever's. And then subsequently, but this week, man, I've been mad busy in the proceeds of that, doing some trades and stuff like that. I did 2 amazing trades yesterday I was really happy with, but when I looked at the club, I was like, man, this has been a busy week if you look at what's been coming in and out and stuff. So busy time on the leaderboard, good time for the international break to get a wee bit of the housekeeping done and re-up for the next leg.
I hear that. Yeah, mine was a bit like that. I had a lot of near misses, as has been the case for me on a few game weeks recently. Just certain cards not coming in, fixtures that I expected to go one way going the complete opposite way. I actually had 2 goalkeepers this weekend that scored a 0, and they played. So,
Wow.
like, yeah, two in one game week's rare, and I think both of those I had in pretty decent lineups as well. So completely unexpected, 3 goals conceded and mistake led to goal type situation. But yeah, I managed to scrape. I did get 3 rewards, and I managed to hit the 250 super rare and rare cap modes, well, 280 as it is now. So that always feels like a win to me. That's a nice amount of money to come into the account. So can't complain. Just in terms of the card wins, nothing too exciting to report. I did hit a tier 2 in All Star Rare, and I was quite excited about that because a tier 2 can be quite juicy. But unfortunately, as has been the case quite a lot, and we've spoken about this on the podcast, I won another goalkeeper, didn't I? And this goalkeeper win was Sven Ulreich of Bayern Munich, who has about 2 games left before Neuer comes in. So, yeah, I mean, we could sit here and discuss whether or not that card should be in the prize pool at all. I've been trying to get rid of it to all the bot accounts, all of the traders. No one wants to touch it. I think the best offer I've had on it was about 50 quid, which, considering he's a current number 1, if you like, I guess, for Bayern Munich, I think that's why, obviously, he sneaked his way into that tier 2 pool. But yeah, I mean, in 2 weeks' time, he's going to be worth about 20 quid. So it's got to try and get rid of him as maybe part exchange in some kind of trade. But if I can't get rid of him in the next week, he might end up being used as some kind of giveaway on the Twitch stream. Someone might make use of a rare goalkeeper there. And I suppose if you've got a rare goalkeeper, even if they don't play, it does open up that cap 240 for you. So, a non-playing rare goalkeeper isn't awful, depending on your gallery. But obviously, for someone with a gallery size like mine, it's dead weight, really. So, bit disappointed. I did actually get one super rare win, which is the first time in a while I've won a super rare card. Sepp Vandenberg, who plays in Germany, but he's on loan from Liverpool, Dutch centre back, youngster, 21. So yeah, he's one maybe worth holding on to. Scores at the moment are not particularly good. Obviously struggling at Mainz this season. Didn't get a great deal of game time at Schalke, but when he did play, he did all right. So yeah, I mean, I think his last run of good scores was when he was out on loan at Preston in the Championship. So fingers crossed he gets a move like that. I'll probably hold on to him. And yeah, just wait and see what happens with him next season, because I think he's a good player, he's not going to put up good scores in a struggling Bundesliga side as things stand. So yeah, he might be one to hold on to. Definitely don't think he's worth letting go of at the kind of level he's trading hands for at the moment. But yeah, not the end of the world in terms of end products. Not feeling too hot about this midweek international break. I do have a Cap 270 team out.
Controversial.
Yeah, it is a bit. and that was exactly why I thought, let's bring that up now, because I don't know if we really got into that last week, did we? The announcement of this monthly tournament. I think we kind of
super cap.
Yeah,
super cap.
Super cap mode. Cap 270 month-long tournament in which there won't be any weekly rewards. So by entering it, you're kind of like only entering to try and win the big rewards at the end of the month. What are your thoughts on that, Quinny? Is that a tournament that you can see yourself entering? I think it starts, is it this week or next week on the weekend? So obviously it's not open just yet, but I think that if I'm right, let me have a little look at the custom leagues. Super.
I think everyone's going to be entering it. I think you're crazy not to enter it. But the question is, where in the priority list does it hit? I don't think it's going to go number one for anyone, really, you know. And then it's a matter of scarcity then for, you know, what you're kind of like. For me, for example, the rare one, I've got like next to no interest in keeping it. Let's say the fourth team that I would be picking, you know, it's probably going to fall down to the last team, if at all. Now, maybe at this point, maybe I find alternate teams to play instead of it. But with if I was playing with another scarcity, either down or up, like it would depend then on like fixtures and availability, because in the rare competition, like it's really difficult to give away big scores, if you get me. Like if you know you've got a big fixture, you've got a big core of players that maybe it's a goalkeeper and a mid and a forward, or you know, whatever, you know, they're on this week and they'd be a great option, or maybe they've got a good window of fixtures and you know they're going to be on for a good vein of form. At rare pro level, it's so hard to not put that in the position of maximum opportunity, the best place for like legitimate end product. Whereas with limiteds, because generally I think it's a big generalization, but when you're playing the limiteds, you have a lot of variety at your disposal, generally speaking. You know, like a lot of guys I see with galleries, let's say they've got 3 goalkeepers, they generally have like 7 defenders, 8 mids, and 5 strikers. If you get me. So there's like room to mess about. And with super rares, it's one of those ones where, depending on how strong you play that, you might not actually win very often anyway, you know. So if you're thinking, right, well, over the next month playing Cap 270 super rare anyway, playing All-Star super anyway, whatever, I'm only carding once a month anyway. What really then is the difference in that situation, you know? So I think it is a matter of scarcity and priority level.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there was a really mixed reaction from the community to this, wasn't there? Some people were really annoyed about it, and I think most of that annoyance came from the thought of kind of giving up rewards for a month in order to try and win. But I'd agree with you in that there does look to be some really nice rewards in there. You know, super rare star rewards with a unique tier 1 as the first place in super rare cap. And I think for people like me, as much as I think any of these month-long are going to kind of lean into people with larger galleries across whatever scarcity you're playing, but I'm tempted by this because of the level of the rewards. I mean, some of the bigger accounts have been quite vocal online, moaning about the lack of clarity on like what the top prizes are. Obviously, if you look at that super rare star pool, at the absolute top end of it, you do have Jude Bellingham. But if you go all the way down to the bottom, you do also have, you know, Johan Barbet, who plays in the second tier of French football. He is one of the best scorers in the game, granted. So it's not a bad reward, but you could argue whether or not that is an actual star reward. I think for me, I mean, I'd be quite buzzing to win a bar bet for at least till the end of this season to use them. But, you know, if you win this tournament, you will be disappointed, won't you, if you don't hit a Bellingham, Kane, Haaland, or Kimmich, given the fact you've given up a month's worth of rewards in the process. So I can kind of familiarize myself with that feeling a little bit. It would be nice maybe if that star pool was a little bit more condensed and not as big. Or maybe we got a, you know, if there's only one star up for grabs, which there is in Super Rare, why don't you just say winner gets Jude Bellingham? Like I don't see why that would be an issue, unless there is some kind of legal reason why they can't tell you exactly who you're going to win. But I think that if we knew the top prize was a Haaland Super Rare or a Bellingham Super Rare or a Kane, you'd be a bit, you know what you're going to win. And if there's only one star, why not? I think that would be an interesting step in a different direction. Whether or not it's the right direction, I don't know. But that would feel to me a little bit more like, yeah, I'm going for this. I want to win that Jude. Or, you know, or even you could look at second and third place, and let's say the tier one pool might be Johan Bakayoko or Sesko or, you know, Gift Orban Super Rare. It'd be nice to know what those cards are. I think in a tournament where we're kind of testing things out still, you know, like these monthlies are a bit like, let's give this a go. Why not? Maybe, you know, at least maybe the top three. We don't need to go all the way down to like the 100th place, like what 100th is going to win. But maybe the podiums is like Bellingham, Hoyland, I don't know, or Black or something like that. It's like this is first, second, and third. It might open a can of worms. I don't know, but I would have loved to have seen that. But I think for myself personally, I think Cat 270 rare. I'm gonna try and go for it. I'm gonna give it a good go. I reckon I've got enough depth in rare to like try and hit that. I think the big thing with Cap 270 always is getting the captain pick right, isn't it? Because there's such a big difference. If your captain hits 100, I mean, in Cap 270 Super Rare, I had a Veerman captain hit 100 recently. You know, he scored 180 points on his own with all the bonuses added. That's like you're halfway to the podium already if you've got like that 100 score out of your captain pick. So captain's definitely going to be the big change, the big difference, I think, between those top points. But I think I'm going to go for it. Super Rare, I think will be dependent on fixtures, but yeah, I'm quite excited.
It's a shorter time period as well. I think it was only 7 game weeks for you to pull 4 scores from, or maybe it's 3. I think it's 4.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, like you say, like it is still like in a test mode, and along with some of the other little prolonged special weekly things we've had over the last month or whatever, like I'm not too worried about the fact that there's not a prize given out every week, if you get me, because like you say, it's all about the end product. It's all about what you're going to get delivered afterwards. And I think, you know, for like you say there, it's all about where you're putting in the prioritization level, and it's what scarcity are you thinking about. Rares for you, Stish, so you can be a bit more flexible. You can maybe pick a captain out and just go, do you know what, that guy's 100 capable. Let's build a team around him this week and throw him in and make that happen. So, but there's that, you know, so I don't worry personally about not winning a card per game week, especially like, oh, what if you finished on the podium, you know, for an individual game week? Because I think if you're going to go into this tournament and you're hoping to podium the actual thing, you want a podium a weekend, you know? That's like the biggest thing that could happen for you, is if you're thinking about, wow, imagine I could finish top 1, 2, or 3. Well, you're going to need to get a podium to make that happen. So, like, yeah, like ultimately, if it never came to anything, but let's call a spade a spade. If you're smashing a podium, 450, 500 points in Cap 270, you know, don't fuck it up. Like, you know,
as well, I think
you've done a lot of the work already, I think, at that point.
Yeah, and I think the difference as well, between winning like a tier 3 or a tier 4 card, you know, I think, I don't know about you, but I would swap 3 or 4 weeks of winning a tier 3 or 4 for just one tier 1. I don't know, that might not be the same for everyone. Maybe if your gallery's not got the depth, it's nice to win a mixture of, you know, 3 or 4 players you can swap in and out. Especially if you're playing cap modes, you need a bit of flexibility, I guess, in the scores. But for me, I need to be trying to win tier 2s upwards, and the likelihood of me winning a reward every week versus one good one at the end of it, I feel fairly confident that across 7 weeks I should get 4 decent enough scores to find myself in that maybe top 50 kind of zone. If I'm really going for it, versus winning a few tier 3s along the way, maybe a 4 or 5. If I can finish in that top 50 and win like a decent tier 2 or tier 1, I think that normally will be better than winning 3 or 4 tier 4s. So yeah, but again, I guess that really depends on your kind of gallery and the kind of player you are.
Yeah. Again, I think it's all about the right level, because I think if you're looking at the rewards and the potential risk and opportunity of it, and it doesn't excite you, then that's not the division to really be thinking about in terms of like, does it excite me? Does it interest me or not? If you get me. So like, yeah, like you're probably quite happy to do it with your rares for reasons maybe quite similar to mine. And like for me, rare, like I'll still play it. I'll still put a playing goalkeeper in it for the most part, because I've got like global cards for the most part. I don't really play regions or whatever. But on top of that, like the division itself, like it normally pays out kind of nicely. You know, a tier 4 out of that division isn't normally a total dud. A tier 3 out of that division is normally somebody that's halfway handy. So at the super level, or so at the rare level, like winning a tier 3, for example, for my gallery doesn't mean anything. It wouldn't really, winning one a month rather than winning maybe 2 or 3 of them over the month would be a bit of a difference. And I don't think it's that good. Subsequently, I don't find that as appealing. But for like, depending on what level of the game you're at, whatever your stretch scarcity is, like if you're moving from commons to limiteds to rares, whatever, then is that appealing enough? And if it's not appealing enough, it's probably down to the fact that you're really trying very hard and you're going to have a good effort at something better anyway, and that's fine, But it's just it just comes down to what level of kind of prioritization. So like, I'm quite excited for it, for like, yeah, just in general to see how it goes, because I think this kind of format will continue, and experience and stuff like that in Sorare game modes is pretty valuable for some end product, I think, So
Yeah.
having a decent effort at it, you just learn wee lessons, and that backfired last time, or you have to do this to make sure you're safe on game week 3 or something,
Yeah.
So I'm quite open to it.
I think for me then, in that, and you just made a good point there that kind of struck me as you were saying it, but it might be one of them for me where I prioritize it for the first half of the month. And if I'm still, if it looks like I'm in a position to kick on and get another 2 big scores, then I'll continue to play it. Whereas if I've flopped the first 4 game weeks or whatever, and like I have to absolutely nail 4, including the midweeks, to get anywhere near the decent rewards, it might be one that towards the end of the month is not prioritized. So I think, yeah, maybe going in with the best intentions and seeing how my teams perform over the first few weeks. And I think, yeah, if I get a couple of big scores in that first 3 or 4 game weeks, and I'm in a good position to hit another couple of big ones in the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah, I guess it's one of them things you're gonna have to keep an eye on it. If you have a good game week, or if you don't keep an eye on those leaderboards, it's definitely be a part of the game, which isn't normally something that we have to do in any other kind of aspect of the Sorare kind of gaming side of the game anyway. Quinny, for Stop the Press, by the way, while we've been on the air right now, you'll be pleased to hear that SPFL 3D cards have hit the market. We were saying off air that Turkey have hit the market as well. We got Turkish cards. So cards that you definitely have been waiting for. I've got to say the new Celtic cards looking very nice on the market there. Leo Abada, super rare, ending in 5 minutes, 5 hours. The first one ends in an hour. Abada's number 1 rare. I'm not sure. How do you feel about Celtic's kit this season? I quite like it. I think it looks really good on these cards.
I'm actually the opposite. I don't think they look good, these cards, to be honest with you.
Not a fan.
I think the pictures of Celtic look markedly worse than other teams that we've seen cards for so far. I don't know if it's just me personally. I don't mind the kit so much this year. This is the anniversary kit. I don't know when we're going to wear it, but we brought it out. It's like 100 years, 80 years of hoops or something like that. It is. And it's all whited out, the badge and Adidas and all that's cool. But I don't know when we're going to wear that. I love if we get cards with that kit on it. But so I don't know if it's just I'm a little bit biased towards that, or I've got the little notification. I'm just going to go to the marketplace with the wee filter on it now. But yeah, I don't know. The cards are cool. 3D's cool. I just don't. Yeah, some of the pictures are all right. Don't get me wrong. But I think I don't know. When I open them up and I play with the 3D part of it, the Celtic ones feel like I can tell the actual picture is 2D a bit
Yeah,
more.
I
Like it's a
feel you.
lower quality picture that maybe Sorare have been given versus like the Premier League ones or something. I
A
don't
bit more
know.
flat.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm imagining this, but let me know what you think in the comments. Anyone that's watching us live. But yeah, the cool cards. The kit's not too bad. You're right. It does shine up quite nicely.
I
The
think it
black
kind of
lines are a
matches
bit.
the pattern in the background a bit, kind of like almost similar to the green on the shirt. That's why I
Yeah,
kind of liked it. Made it pop a little bit.
yeah, I suppose actually. Yeah, the Hatate card is nice. I'm looking at that. Quite like the Hatate card.
Yeah, I've just filtered out the. So what I like to do when the new season cards drop is I'll go to the market and I'll filter by favorites and just see if there's any unusual cards or players that I'm like, oh, who's that? You know, you like go do a bit of scouting and I'll start following players who don't even have a card on the platform yet, but then they get one because maybe they're in the squad that season. Might be like a youth team player or something like that. But just from having a little look at what's on the market now, and kind of like prioritizing by only favorites. Now we got to that stage where we're only really seeing the new season 3D cards and the Asia design, which for me, oh no, there are still MLS from last season as well. Obviously, they'll be finishing up a bit sooner. But looking at this season's 3D style cards next to, let's say, like the J League cards, I think the J League and K League cards for this season might be my favorite on the platform. I like the background of them, especially seeing them next to the 3D cards. Have the 3D cards grown on you was the point I was going to get to. Now that we've had a little few weeks to get used to seeing them, do they do it for you now? Now that we can see them in 3D, do you think that's made much of a difference to you?
Yeah, definitely like the 3D. I'm definitely a big 3D guy. I'm just looking at the Celtic team. There's no card for Lager BLK, which probably won't be that important once Carter Vickers is fit. And there's no cards for Luis Palma, which is
Ooh,
probably going to be one of our main starters in the front three based on the last game anyway, and what
yeah.
a lot of Celtic fans think. So that is something to see. So we'll see what happens with that. It's good seeing Liam Scales in the hoops as well. Sorry, Stish, but I was just I'm getting taken away with these cards now. But yeah, no, I've quite liked the 3D. Like you say, we did criticise the 2D display of them when we first got given them. See when all that, oh, here's a display. It's going to transform into 3D, but that's when we weren't too happy with it. 'Cause it's like doesn't look that great, but as soon as it becomes 3D, it definitely makes a bit of a difference. I like the Scales card. Scales has got a good card
It's gonna be nice to
this
see a
year.
player in your colours for the first time, because I know that you've got Scales in the his
Aberdeen.
previous in his Aberdeen kit. Yeah, I've seen him on your lineups. So yeah, are you gonna be in the market for a Scales, you reckon?
Maybe a shirt swap. Yeah, I'll do that for somebody if they get a reward. They don't care, or maybe they're an Aberdeen fan and it's a win-win. That'd be nice. So, yeah, open to trade, I suppose, in that respect. I want my guys all wearing hoops
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
most part because collection bonus and such. These are all valuable parts of the strategy of the game that we've always got to be working on. And like, I've got a Joe Hart in. I don't know if you know that Stitchy boy
I,
you've maybe seen, but
I
I've
just
got a
saw
Joe
it.
in.
Yeah, just saw that. That's a really interesting. The thing with Joe Hart, right, and you'll attest to this, is I think you've said yourself on here before that like you don't necessarily need a Joe Hart to like strengthen your lineups with your Celtic stack because he doesn't always keep a clean sheet. But it does feel a bit weird, doesn't it, if you play like a stack but your goalkeeper or one piece of it is like not the stack. So it must be
Well,
nice to finally fill that piece of the puzzle, especially for your super rare lineups where not many people are going to have that stack. And now you've got it.
big time. Yeah. Well, it is. You're very right. I've always kind of avoided him for the simple reason that he's so expensive. For like the only thing he kind of offers you is that kind of fixture synergy, where if the rest of the team's playing, he's of course playing.
Mm.
But he's always been mad expensive for that alone. And with his age and his contract status, I've never been comfortable with his horizon either, if you like, So do we sign somebody this window and he gets dropped? That's always been something that's been spoken about, So I've never been comfortable spending so much on him when it's been so dicey. So kind of got to that point now where he's definitely going to be the goalkeeper for the rest of the season, as far as I'm concerned at this point. And I think with the form he's had under Brendan Rodgers this season, it's the best form we've probably seen from him at Celtic. Gives me more hope that he goes to MLS or to the Championship. He's not done. I'll probably goes to MLS or Saudi, to be honest with you, but he'll go somewhere. England's goalkeeper with like 50 plus caps to his name and all the rest of it. He'll go and he'll have this as his Champions League heyday, get some more medals in his cabinet, and he'll go get a paycheck. Maybe Inter Miami or somewhere fun would be good. So I'm more confident about his horizon. He's a lot cheaper. And now in particular, mate, like see any time I've not got a super rare goalkeeper that goes with those cards. Like right now, I'm not playing any midweek team with a super rare keeper. And as much as Celtic aren't good midweek, it's painful to know that I cannot do anything with them, meaningful without it being a pro. Pros are fine, right? Whatever. It's not really my bag at the moment, as most of you know. And when we come into Christmas, it's only UK football that's on, and Celtic, we beat a lot of teams come Christmas. We tend to score a lot of goals and put a show on in the festive period. So it felt like an absolute no-brainer of just get him in. And whatever happens this season, he'll definitely wash his face. Like I've got no doubts about that.
Yeah. How much did you get him for in the end?
So this is where it gets interesting, right? And I was going to bring this up when you mentioned Ulrich, okay? Because a similar thing, right? I have Craig Gordon super rare, double leg break last like 28th of December. He's back training. He's been ahead of schedule, blah, blah, blah. All the press reports in Scotland as of the last 2 or 3 days is after this international break, it's Gordon versus Xander Clark. Who's going to be number one at Hearts now, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine, cool. We'll get some utility out of Gordon. That's what I'm thinking. Now, I get a couple of offers that are all quite crap. And I don't know if Gordon will come back and be number one. I don't know if he'll come back and be job share, maybe in and out. It's almost certainly going to be somewhat. Anyway, there's a lot of unknown. He's definitely going to come back and be competing for the job. He is 40-41, just suffered a double leg break, by the way. And I got an offer in for 0.31 Ethereum, straight, no cards or anything. And I thought, hey, give me that. I'll take that, no problem. And straight away, because I know I've not got that coverage that Hearts now filled, I was like, I need to get somebody in that gives me more calendar coverage than what I'm getting. I need to take my Finn Dammon, who plays, is demonstrated he's a playing goalkeeper. So the market, because I bought him when he wasn't a playing goalkeeper and he transferred and it was like expected to play, So I've got somebody like your Sven Ulreich here, he's not going to play for a bit, maybe, blah, 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 blah. And maybe you can say the same with Gordon, an older guy, he's fucked for ages.
Yeah.
Just wait for that moment to come back and that offer will come around for him when he's decent again. But so anyway, he's valued better in the market now. He's had auctions, has been a number one goalkeeper. And I basically, because what I thought to myself is, could I take Craig Gordon and Dammon and eventually I added another reward, which is Colombo? Could I take those 3 cards and turn them into Joe Hart? And probably the answer would have been no. But with that guy buying that off me for that ETH, then the answer was yes. I could make that trade happen, basically. It's neither here nor there. If I had Gordon or the money, basically, in essence, that's how I kind of figured it. Because I wanted to get that I thought, when I seen Gordon was coming back to training, I thought, oh, cool. At least I'll maybe know 2 or 3 of the matches he might play in December. Maybe he plays them all. That'd be great. Maybe he plays none of them. That would be rubbish. So yeah, it was kind of one of the, so I ended up paying 0.29, so not quite all the ETH, but I negotiated the guy for a bit, tried to get as low as I could. 0.29 ETH, Colombo, an under 23, tier 3, tier 2, super rare forward I won recently, who is like, he either scores 25 or 60 this season. Yeah. And the Dammon, which has been a kind of crap keeper for me, if we're being honest. And what that really does, and that's why that's the reason I'm thinking of it, is the Gordon Dammon kind of combinations, almost like I've took 2 Pokemon or something like that and fused them together or something. I don't know, but it's like I've took those 2 cards and smashed them together. I've got, rather than a 40-year-old keeper in Scotland and a 25-year-old keeper in Germany, I've now, both of them are kind of, whatever, I've now got a
In the middle.
35-year-old goalkeeper who plays every game and is kind of half decent or whatever. And because he now goes to the top of my like list of goalkeepers, he'll go with those guys. It then moves down Skorupski and Soria, who are two really good goalkeepers, like down a level for me. So the kind of knock-on effect of it all is like should make me like significantly better, is what I'm thinking. So I'm buzzing for it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that
Bit of
play.
a ramble. But
I
a few
was,
things going on there. We holding the goalkeeper for the
yeah,
broken leg and damning through the transfer. Waiting for Hart to come down because Hart's been
yes.
mental in price as well.
I
So
think,
it's been a lot.
yeah, I feel that. I was kind of in a similar boat when I got the Ulreich in the week. I was just like, how can I get rid of this in the most sort of like useful manner? And something, if you can't get it sold, the next best thing you can do is try and use it as part of a trade before maybe his price comes down or whatever, as we're expecting his price to come down. So yeah, I went into some of the bot accounts and was just trying to like see if they had any more like useful pieces, not necessarily cards that I needed, but might be a bit easier to shift, players that are going to continue to play when he ultimately finds himself on the bench again in probably the next 2 weeks when Neuer comes back in probably after the international break. And just couldn't get the deal done. I think the best offer I've had on him is about like 45, 50 quid, which to be honest with you, I'd be tempted to take now. It is such a hit on his last few prices, but he's going to be worth less than that as soon as Neuer starts playing again. He's probably got 2 fixtures left max before we never see him again, possibly, unless he moves club. I think that's the only gamble of holding on to him is, does he move to like a Bundesliga 2 club? He's quite old himself, so yeah, I just can't see him doing a great deal outside of being the bench warmer at Bayern. He'll probably stick around there and see out his career as like backup for Neuer. So yeah, difficult, but I've definitely been in the market for a trade or two this week. Just hasn't happened for me. I've sold a few players. Yeah, Ian Sorare on the chat saying doesn't look like he'll even get 1 or 2 games. I think, the maximum he's likely to get. Neuer will definitely be in by the Galatasaray game. They've got 1 game between then, so it looks likely that at best he'll have 1 more game left. If he's lucky, he'll play the Galatasaray game as well. But it's very likely now that Neuer's been training with the second team, so he's been in like match situations with the second team. So yeah, it's only a matter of time now. Looks fit. And yeah, Manuel Neuer is going to come straight back in, isn't he? As soon as he's ready, especially as a goalkeeper, it was a leg injury, wasn't it? So it's not like a shoulder or anything like that where it might, they might be a bit more careful with it. So it's similar to like Marshall, like you were saying there. I think he's probably been out a bit longer than most of us expected, actually, because there was videos I remember of him in the gym pushing enormous weights with his legs shortly after he had the op. So I was expecting him to come back a bit sooner than he did. But yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting for a few goalkeepers to come back from injury. Carlos Acevedo is back in training. Be looking forward to seeing him back, but whether or not he gets back in any time to do anything worthwhile in Liga MX with a Santos team that's been really poor this season, I don't know how much use I'm going to get out of him. But yeah, Super Rare goalkeepers is difficult, isn't it? And I think that having that piece that slots straight in with all the other cards, every game week that you've got your big guns playing, you've got the goalkeeper there. So I like that move. Yeah, it's definitely something that I would love. For me, I think like that kind of move for me would be like having like Herdecki.
Hidecki's a great card. Mate, he ticks every box right now. See, because Leverkusen are so good.
Yeah.
Like, see, because he plays midweeks. He's not played all the midweeks this season, right? But he will, and he's number 1 for Finland, which, that's not great, but they play every game as well, like everyone else does. So he's like a fucking brilliant bit of utility. Wee bit too pricey for me, but
yeah, this is thing for me is a bit like the only other thing for me is I don't have a super rare goalkeeper in that Champ Euro department. So it does potentially, with the right fixtures, open Super Rare champ up for me. So I have kind of toyed with the idea, but again, he is always like, oh, is he staying? Is he going? Are they going to bring this keeper in? So it's almost like you'll get this season out of him, but you never know how many seasons you're going to get out of him. But having Frimpong and Kosanu super rares, having that goalkeeper would be like, bang, you've got any clean sheet they keep. And you know, like Frimpong plays like a winger as well, so he's in amongst decisives. But Kosanu has been really solid, possibly their best defensive player this season, actually, from what I've seen, and definitely in his scoring as well. In Sorare, his scoring's been pretty solid. But again, he does miss out on those Thursday nights at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see him creep in as you know they get into the business end of the competition. But yeah, Hradetsky might be worth a look for me, but been thinning out the gallery a little bit, got rid of a few bits of fat, nothing too much, but going to keep that going. It's nice to see the ETH balance creeping up. But it always, with that ETH balance, you know, the responsibility comes with holding on to that kind of balance as well. And seeing all these cards coming into the market, tempting, definitely tempting. Been looking at it a little bit more than expected the last few weeks. But on the subject of the market, Quinny, I think you might have actually had early access to see a bit of this before we all got to see it in all of its glory this week. But Sorare's website has undergone a facelift. And I don't know about you, but I really like the new layout. Everything's a bit cleaner, all the menus down the side. We get to see a much wider view of the market on desktop. But obviously, this is optimized for the rollout of more mobile app and trying to get a bit of synergy between the web experience and the mobile experience. But what was your take on the new update? Like I was saying, I think you might have had early access to it. Did anything change from when you had access to it to what we all see now? And yeah, what were your kind of views on how it's looking?
I think it was pretty much all the same. But yeah, I got it a couple of days early, which was good fun to have a wee test and a wee play around with it and stuff. And yeah, I really like it. It's really slick. And I think everyone's kind of unanimous in that it clearly it pushes a wee button for the club owner and or for the, you know, my fantasy team, my squad, my guys, my club, you know, just with the wee display. Like, see, even on the so what I thought about, right? My team's called FC Barcelona, right? And one thing I was toying with when they brought NBA on, and it was almost like a brain teaser for me, was like, should I rename my club from Football Club Barcelona to Sorare Club Barcelona, and then just make it that's the name, and we play all these sports, kind of like they do in like Greece and Spain with their basketball teams and football teams and Madrid and stuff. Yeah, exactly. But is that the route we go down with this? And anyway, I do spend a lot of time thinking about it periodically, by the way, because it's just something I do think about. I'm sad that way. But when they unveiled this, you can give each different sport its own little name in terms of your club.
Yeah,
so I'm an intimate NBA club, right? I won't make these guess because you'll never get it right, but I'll tell you what I named my other clubs, right? So my family that are in America, the closest place they live to that anyone might see on a map is Spokane.
Yeah, I've been there.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I've actually flown in little airport near Washington, near the border of Canada and like Seattle.
Yeah,
that kind of area.
That's it. So my NBA team is called the Spokane Smoke, right? Which is a great basketball name, I thought. You know.
Oh yeah, it's decent. Yeah, kind of picture that. Yeah.
And then for my MLB team, I've only got 2 cards. I've got 2 rares. I've got a bunch of commons. Never ever opened it, but I thought I'll go in and I'll make my baseball team. What do you think? Oh, I'll tell you what I name my baseball team. My baseball team is called the Spider-Man Sox with the X. It's an X rather than, you know, Spider-Man socks.
The Spider-Man socks. Are you going to get your Spider-Man socks out for us now? Then is that what they?
I need to find them.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I've got them anymore. But
so in the chat,
I enjoyed it a lot. I've had a lot of fun with it.
I need to get involved in that. But looking for food in the chat, who's with us live today, currently stuck at my name for NBA team, but Deptford Tax Dodgers is my MLB team.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Tax Dodgers.
Deptford Tax Dodgers. Yeah, I've got I haven't got into my I don't really play MLB. I did have a card which I sold. I don't have any what they're now calling pro cards in the MLB faction of the team. But yeah, I should give my NBA team a name. So for anyone listening in the comments, if you're watching on the YouTube video at some stage in the future, or if you're in the chat, my football team is called Club Tropicana Drinks FC. What should my NBA team be called? Answers on a postcard. Let's see if anyone comes up with anything decent for that. But yeah, I love that. And if you kind of like float over that top right hand corner, you're in that. So it's like football, NBA, MLB, and then it's got that little kind of like the little circle of like your club badge and said sport, which is a nice little touch. But yeah, I had to go in. I updated my club legends on my team page. But I'm really liking the new update. I like the way it's quite easy to navigate. It did take me a little bit of time to like find where everything was, but definitely on desktop, I'm rating the experience. I think the user experience is a lot more slick. But also notably, we do see for the first time that kind of, as we were expecting, the name changes of some of the tournaments. They're now using the word pro as like the kind of paid cards version, aren't they? And then we've got Rivals, which is going to be our free to play. I believe. I'm wondering, is that where the common game card games are going to live as well? Because at the moment, it looks like they're still in, or no, actually, I'm not sure if they are still in the pro section. It looks like.
Well, it's international break.
We haven't got any this week. They are showing up in pro section still, the La Liga, etc. But yeah.
I like the pro. I like that angle to it. That's kind of what this podcast has been about. That pro, that's the way we've tried to think about it. It's the guys that give a crap. People who are really thinking, plotting their moves, moving around cards and whatever. So I like the fact that they're encouraging that. Yeah, if you take this game seriously, man, like it's a proper game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no reason that it couldn't birth actual full-time professionals like yourself, Quinny. You are a professional Sorare player, so that's your domain. That's where you belong now, mate. But Rivals, are you looking forward to the launch of Rivals? As someone who's had a little sneak peek of this, can you let us know, have you had a sneak peek at Rivals yet? You've been given a sneak peek now.
I've got a lot of hope for this thing, and I've seen somebody say something like oh, do you know what it was? I was catching up with the Sorare Data podcast. They had the Down Under guys on. Good show. You should catch it if you've not yet. But somebody mentioned about like, oh, if I lived near a stadium, like I would be outside, like promoting it to fans and doing content and all the rest of it.
Good point.
It's almost like that's not really something that is really that possible right now. But for this Rivals mode, see if it's anywhere near what it kind of could be, and it probably will be, and I don't know any more than anyone else, FYI, but like that's then the kind of thing where you could like engage with people right before kickoff, so like I can see that living in its completely own domain. I think they are going to maybe, if they've got good marketing, I'm sure they do have good marketing, so it's probably not the way of putting it, but like I think a good route to market for this Rivals thing is just to treat it like a fucking mobile game.
Yeah.
And like just try and float it out to football fans as a pick up and play mobile app game. And then by the way, it's linked to this bigger baddie thing that's actually way better. So, because mobile games pop off all the time, mid-season for no good reason. Everyone's downloading it, everyone's playing it, and da-da-da-da-da. So I can see that having definitely its own kind of segregated part. But I like the fact that, the rest of it is that kind of that pro. Because again, if we're getting tickets, we're getting signed jerseys, you're pulling thresholds half a dozen times a month across a couple of scarcities or something. Like, that's fun.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what kind of prizes they offer up. But I do like the idea of Rivals as a kind of like a quick onboarding. Like, what is that? Oh, Sorare, I've seen that. Oh, is this how you play it? And then, oh, that was fun. What's this? What's pro? What's custom leagues like? And hopefully, like with the work they put into the kind of navigation, easing that off a little bit, it's going to be really interesting to see like what the pickup's like on Rivals. But I love the idea of people getting outside the stadiums and getting people to fire up their phones for a bit of content. I'm sure we'll be seeing lots of that so I'll be keeping my eyes out for it. But yeah, quite excited to see that. I like the design of the typography there, the rivals with the little electrical bolt in the middle, because it's kind of like the quick daily game. I like that. Yeah, it kind of makes me happy seeing that as a person with a bit of an eye for design. I like that. So yeah, all round very happy with the website upgrades. And I haven't really been online on Twitter the last couple of days as much. I've been quite busy. Bought a new car. Yeah,
nice.
exciting times. Cost me a few thresholds, but I haven't seen the kind of the feedback from this. Have you managed to sort of get a read of the room? How is the community feeling about the visual upgrade? Are people happy with it, or are people moaning about the change again?
No, I think everyone kind of likes it. I think a lot of people, so there's some names and some terminologies into the tournaments that are actually getting specifically changed, and they detailed that in the blog thing. I think we did kind of quote that earlier, but that's annoying some people, I think. And it's just one of those ones, isn't it? After they change name for 2 or 3 weeks, it's done, you know.
I mean, you're saying that I can't even remember now. Oh, no, I can't actually. No, I can. I was just going to say, I can't remember what they were called before Rare and Rare Pro, but it was Division 4 and Division 3, wasn't it? It was like...
Yeah.
But even then, I had to really think about that. And it just goes to show, because that wasn't really that long ago either, was it? That's probably only a year ago, something like that. It's coming up to my 3-year anniversary this time next month.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to have a party on the stream. We might give away a Sven Ulreich if I can't get rid of it. He'll be deep in doldrums of the bench warming facilities of Bayern Munich by then, so I'm not sure how much of a prize he'd be. But yeah, it's mad to think that I've been playing the game for 3 years now, and it still feels to me like we are still figuring out what the game is, isn't it? Like, but in a good way. I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I think that the past 3 years, there's been a lot of change, but I'd say most of that change has been for the better. To me, it feels like the game is finally ready for that mainstream adoption. And I feel like from listening to people like Nicola on various podcasts, especially like the crypto-based kind of podcasts he jumped on outside of like the Sorare community stuff, he was always talking about people, the question was always like, oh, why isn't this huge? Like, why isn't this that? And he was always saying, you know, like it's not ready for mainstream adoption yet. We're still ironing the creases out. I feel like now we're there, right? I don't know about you, but this feels about as ready. It feels to me like most of the things they need to figure out now are little things like the gripes people have with the rewards being a little bit you know, maybe a little bit more clarity around like the rewards, and like, you know, obviously mistakes are going to be made in the prize pools. I'm not sure that that's something you can ever fully fix. You're always going to have the odd player that slips through the net and upsets someone when they get it. But for the most part, most of the issues that we have with the game or the platform now seem like small fixes. I don't know about you, Quinny, but it feels like we're in a good place for this to start to filter its way into like more mainstream game playing, football watching. I'm quite happy with where we're at.
I think one of the more understated parts of that kind of, let's say, desire, maybe a lot of Sorare managers have, is that like we all love this game, we all love the podcast, we all love the community, live chats and all the rest of it, but we are like a secret little club, you know? And like, you kind of wanted to be like Football Manager and like FIFA, where like everyone knows what you're talking about. Oh, you play Sorare, or oh, so do you? And you know, you just wanted to be like that, so you can really enjoy it, like with every other football fan that you know enjoys all this other stuff that's kind of similar, you know. So I always look forward to just that part of it, you know, where it's like, it's just
not having to explain what it is to people.
Not having to explain what it is, kind of is a big part of that. Yeah.
It is so hard, isn't it? When someone's like, "What is this Sorare thing I see you tweeting about?" And you're like, how long have we got? Like, oh no, I don't want to bore you with it, because it is a bit hard to explain it without turning into a complete nerd for about an hour.
Or a salesman.
Yeah, like I was playing at a festival about few months back now in Croatia, and my mate was there with his wife, and she came over to. She'd been there the year prior. I bumped into both of them, I think, on my way back to the hotel at the end of the night at this festival, and then seen them again this year. And she come up to me and she said, "Oh, are you going to talk to us about South Korean football again for the next hour? Are you?" I'm well up for that. And I was like, it kind of dawned on me like, oh shit, I must have really been chewing their ear off about like Sorare
So yeah.
last time I saw them. But it's impossible to sum it up, isn't it, without like getting in. I mean, for me, like one of the best byproducts of playing Sorare is the fact that I can have talked passionately about Korean football to people. Like that for me is cool. That's a great byproduct of playing this game. It might not be cool to people who don't play it, but I think once you get into it, that is the essence of when you really enjoy this game, it makes you enjoy everything you thought you wouldn't enjoy about watching football. And I think that's the best advert for it to anyone who actually likes football, is like, give this a go and see how much more you can really like football. Because yeah, there's a lot of people out there that like football. They just need to find their way into the black hole of football content that is kind of accessed via the bigger, the Sorare community. But yeah, I think we're looking pretty good now. I think the product's in a good spot. Updates have been pretty solid for the last few months, haven't they? And I think even the bits and bobs that they've tested out, I'd be interested to see if there are any changes with the cap 240. I know obviously there hasn't been too much communication back and forth yet with like how they see their payouts going. What do you think? Do you feel like cap 240 modes are more winnable or less winnable now than they were prior to us adding all of the XP?
So I did the video reviewing it because I know you were asking for that last week, so I thought I better get that on the to-do list. I won't reveal the ratios or anything, right? But I do feel it's easier, I think, when you've got 5 guys that play to hit the 280 than maybe the 240 without the without the kicker. I don't know. It's a hard one to judge because it really, like it always does with Sorare, it comes back down to the actual guy that's played the game. Like if you have 5 starters but they all score 32 points, then what I've just said is redundant, but for the most part, like guys that are expected to clip 10 points of AA, maybe not get a bad result, and you've got 10% on them and you've got 5 of them starting, like it's quite reachable to get past it. Like I think in the rare one I can get to 300 points quite comfortably, 310 since the changes happened. For the rare one, I'll spoil it. On the rare one, I caught it 5 out of 7. And then I didn't include seeing the time scale of the video when I set it up the first time. I didn't realize that there was one more weekend before an international break, if you get me.
Yeah.
So I didn't include that in any of the numbers. But if I added that in, I hit it again. So it would have been 6 out of 9 or 6 out of 8, which is 3/4, which is perfect, so
Yeah.
at the rare level. And now the first 1 or 2 of them was on the old system, obviously. And then, so I think at rare, certainly I think if you've got a gallery comfortable with playing for threshold like I do at rare, it's got easier. And for maybe if you're stretching up, and I'm thinking about my blues, it's the quality of your card is maybe shown a bit clearer to you.
Definitely helps to have those extra XP points, doesn't it, in the cap modes now?
Even guys can get decisives, because you do need 1 or 2 to get you there. You can't do it without 1 or 2, like depending on where the rest of the AA lies. So do you have, if you set a team of 5 out, how likely is one of them to get a decisive? Because I know a lot of guys build 240 teams on budgets, and this guy always does 45 and this guy always does 52, but without something to kind of kick you over the top, like you're not going to hit it that often, and I think that's maybe shown for some people.
I'd agree with that. And I think that, like, in contrast to that, again, like talking back on if you've got a collection score and you've got new season cards and you've managed to get, like if you've got a really good collection score, new season cards, and you've got a couple of players in your lineup that have maybe that 11 to 12%, 13%, in those cases, having a player who scores just well AA is almost like a decisive. So, if you've got if you've got like a Tony Kroos and you know he's going to play, you know he's probably going to score a 58 without doing much in the game at all. But if you've got that 12%, then you're looking at 65, 67, which is almost like having a player hit a decisive. But yeah, if you're swapping cards in and out all the time and you haven't got any of those level 20s that you can just bang in that play every week, yeah, I'd say that you need a decisive. And normally for me, that means putting in a goalkeeper that's likely to keep a clean sheet is probably your best shout of that. I don't know about you. I'm finding it, and we spoke about this recently on a podcast. It's hard at the moment, like there isn't too many like nailed on strikers who are going to bang every week that aren't really expensive at the moment. So I think the goalkeeper clean sheet is quite a big part at the moment of hitting those caps. Or, I think last week I messaged you, I lost my clean sheet. No, it wasn't the clean sheet. It was the negative decisive against my goalkeeper in cap 240 super. He managed to let in the third goal in the final minutes of like injury time, which obviously costs you about 25 points plus bonus. It's a big hit to take, but luckily his AA was massive, so he still stayed on about 54 points after his AA, having lost a negative decisive. Because he's like, if he'd have kept that third goal from going in, I might have actually won a card in cap mode. And then it was down to like Cherky just coming on, and he started on the bench, and it's like, we really just need him to come on. But yeah, that I was fortunate enough I did get a decisive. So in the end, that team really did get over the line because of said decisive in the K-League fixture. So yeah, I'd agree. You need a decisive, or you need a player with big XP, like 12, 13% XP, who's going to hit a 55 plus. That's as good as hitting a decisive. And then you don't want to hit any negative decisives. But it feels a bit easier to me. And I don't know if that's just because I've got a gallery that I've sat on for a long time. So I do have quite a lot of cards that I've had for ages, that a lot of my cards are in that 8 to 12% area. And especially in super rare as well, I've got a lot of 30%ers. So hitting, obviously that's obviously a 10 or 12%, I think, once you take away the scarcity bonus. But yeah, I wonder how they see it from the product perspective. Are they giving out more money, or are they giving out less? I don't know if there's been any data on that yet. Have you seen any?
I don't think so. There's been actually a lot of good kind of articles and threads kind of come out recently, and I've got a few of them noted to go back and read thoroughly. I've just not got there yet. So maybe, but I don't know. I've not seen it.
So on the subject of the current game week, wow, we've done an hour already, Quinny. We're flying by. The current game week, the midweek, we've spoken about new cards. We've spoken about all these new sort of modes we've had, but we haven't really got into the crux of anything that's going on in this midweek. Have you got anything on the line? Obviously, we've got international break. We've got a few more fixtures on the game week coming, but this week is a bit thin on fixtures. You got anything to be excited about coming up?
I've got one team out for this midweek, right? So Skorupski, I don't know if he's on a double game week, right? But I thought there's an outside chance he gets a minute. Might not happen, right? But this midweek, there's not much going on anyway. So I put all my Scotland super rares. So I've got Jack Hendry in defence. I've got McGregor unique. I've got John McGinn. And then I put Matthias Cunha as a forward who should come off the bench for Brazil. And I put them in a kickoff unique. There's only one card. If Skorupski plays, I'm probably going to take it, because they should all, as long as Cunha gets off the bench for 25. If Skorupski plays, I could really hose it. But if Skorupski doesn't play, if we do a number against Spain, then I've got something popping, But if we don't do a number against Spain, then who cares? Like, really, It's just a dead game week. And I just thought, hey, that's probably my one shot. And it's Scotland versus Spain as well. We need to draw, and we're guaranteed to qualify. We've got 15 points out of 15. And would you believe that's not enough to guarantee qualification mathematically? Because, Scotland could just lose every game, and then Norway could win every game, and so could Spain. And then that would just be us, Scotland, and in and up. Not that I want to bring that out, but, a draw or better, and we're guaranteed through. I'm definitely going to edit out that jinx. Not putting that out there forevermore. But yeah, so it's a big one. That's later tonight. So hopefully that works out well. The rest of the internationals, mate, I'm just writing it off. You know, I actually came up with a good suggestion by accident when I was on with Laird on Sorare Data. We were talking about the super cap and stuff like that, and I said to him, you know, they should do this super cap thing, but just for the international break, you know, and just like best ball it, you know, just like put 5 guys in and forget about it for the whole international break, and just their best score over their 2 games or 1 game, their 3 games, whatever they play, and then just the way they're doing that super cap thing. And Laird was like, "Oh, that's amazing," and I think it was good as well. You know, but,
that'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, we did that similar when the Euros was on.
Off.
It was like when the Euros was on, we didn't have too many players available, like from the teams that were available at the time, and then we got a couple of international teams. But yeah, it was like that in the Euros, wasn't it? They had like a Euro special. You could only select players from that tournament, so there wasn't a massive amount of people that could put a full team out. So certain people were winning with like 2 or 3 cards that just happened to bang. And yeah, that's always a bit of fun, isn't it? I think I've got a couple of teams out this week that are like 4 cards, but you know, I think, yeah, why not? You know, no, I put one of them in cap mode, which probably wasn't the smartest thing. I was looking at U23 potential, not too many options there. I didn't have a goalkeeper, but I don't think you really need one. There's only like one goalkeeper who's likely to play in this midweek for U23. So yeah, I've got a cap 270, which does have 5 players that should play some part in the game week. So I'd be keen to see the starting lineups there tonight. A couple of Spaniards in there, which you won't be pleased to hear. Ferran Torres is my captain. Sorry, Quinny. He probably won't. Yeah, I mean, that was it. I actually had more options with goalkeepers this week than I did outfield players in terms of people likely to start.
Wow.
I've got Muric, I've got Vargas, who's in goal for Colombia, and I've got the Venezuelan goalkeeper, but they playing against Brazil. He's not going to do much. So yeah, I did actually have options, and yeah, I just couldn't feel. I think it was midfield. I think was where I was going wrong. I was missing a couple of midfielders, so I've got a few forward options, but some of them might not play. I think I've got Nusa, who's just come back from injury. He might not play in this game against Cyprus. I've got you know, Joselu, who might not start. I think Morata probably starts that game. Torres, who I think will start actually, because Yamal is likely to be out, right? And he was the other player that might be in that position.
Was Yamal out?
Yeah, apparently so. He took
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so he's not expected to play against Scotland. So I think Torres probably play in his position.
Torres could.
Yeah, the cap 270. I've got Vargas in goal against Uruguay, Gvardiol against Turkey, Szymanski against, is it Finland or Iceland they play? Faroe Islands. Yeah, I mean, if he plays, that's a good fixture. Jorgen Larsson up front, and Ferran Torres. But Jorgen Larsson, again, I'm not sure if he starts against Cyprus, Norway. So it was a bit like that, yeah. Just 270 was the only bit that really fit those players into it, because everyone's L15 is actually quite high for whatever given reason. But yeah, and then in cap 240, I've got Muric, Eric Godoy, who's already played and scored 57, Nusa, and Joselu up top. So that's going to rely on a couple of decisives and a clean sheet probably for it to get anywhere near the chance of hitting a cap. But got a cap 220 limited out with no goalkeeper. Paulo Diaz, Martin Odegaard, Rodrigo, and Yunus Akgun. So yeah, I'm not expecting much, but you know, I've thrown my name in the hat for the week. So fingers crossed we can talk about a bit of end product this time next week, Quinny.
That's it, man. Well, good luck for all the international stuff. Let's wish the Tartan Army luck tonight. We get the job done. And then, we'll be back next week to set up for Super Cap. And, you know, after this international break, like, I think there's another international break somewhere before Christmas, right? But after this international break, Sorare-wise, this is the stretch, you know, this is the run we go on. So we're looking forward to it next week. We'll probably do some prior preparation for some strategy and stuff like that, eh? And we'll
have a little chat.
We'll knock out some end products for sure next week as well, Stishy.
Definitely, we'll look ahead into December and the winter months and all of the kind of like winter breaks that are coming up. Yeah, definitely room for a bit of strategy and hopefully a bit more end products. So yeah, on that note, Quinny, it's been a pleasure, mate. And thanks to everyone in the chat. As always, like, subscribe, share on Twitch. We tend to be here on a Thursday, usually around lunchtime. And then in the future, you can catch us on the recording via Quinny's YouTube channel, Quinny 3001. And of course, on all your favourite podcast platforms, searching for End Products So Rare, you'll find us there. Big up, everyone. Good luck. And yeah, Quinny, good luck tonight to Scotland. Fingers crossed they make it happen. And there'll be a tartan party in the streets of Glasgow, mate.
That's it.
Not that you ever need an excuse up there.
No.
Nice one. All right, take care, everyone. Good luck. And we'll see you again same time next week. Cheers all.